Hello, everybody. Welcome to SportsBet TV as we continue our look at the racing at the Ebor Festival this week. It's incredibly competitive, and I'm happy to say that just based on the one selections a day that I'm giving you, we got off to a flying start on Wednesday when Equilateral just held on in the opener. I hope you were on at 12-1. He returned. It was a brilliant ride from Jamie Spencer for Charles Hills. And he did pretty much just as I said, and that drop in class from the Pattern Race Company to a good handicap made all the difference for him. So that ensured that whatever happens, we're in profit for the Ebor Festival. At the time of this recording, at just after 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, we don't know how our Thursday selection has gone on. Let's hope he runs a good race too. Remember that if you want more of my tips, then of course you can get plenty of selections available at my Out in Front service on Patreon. You can view the link just below the screen here in the description panel, and do consider it because it's very good value for money, and we've been having a nice few winners, and it'd be a shame for you to miss out. But I am committed to providing you with at least one selection at each day of the major meetings, and of course a selection or two at weekends, as always here at SportsBet, where I'm always looking to bring you big prize selections. And if you're new to the service, then do press the subscribe button just below this screen, and then it's all free. You won't miss out on any of my thoughts on the races in Britain and Ireland. So I'm going to take you on now to my two selections for the weekend. First to Friday at York, where we're anticipating the going is going to remain more or less on the fast side of good to firm good in places. And I'm taking you to York Friday, the 4:10 race, a 1.25 mile Fillies Heritage Handicap, where there are 12 runners. Now, they are expecting a few showers Thursday into Friday. But I think the indications are that they're not really anticipating they're going to affect the ground too much. At the very worst, if it eases to good, it wouldn't affect my selections for Friday and Saturday. Now, this 4:10 race is an extended 1.25 mile for this handicap. It's only been run 3 times before, with the winners returning at odds of between 3-1 and 33-1. So there's no real SP trend thus far. Owen Burrows is having a wonderful season for the Shadwell team, and he's got Rawaya, who's clear early favourite at around 11-4, which is fairly short, really. She's been in very good form, though, this season at around a mile, and she ran really well on good to soft ground at Glorious Goodwood in a decent handicap last time out to be third. She's going up in trip, though, stepping up 2 furlongs, but her dam, I note, is from the family of the Derby winner Nashwan. So there's every chance that she'll stay this trip, and I don't think the ground will hold any fears for her. She won't be far away, but I don't think there's any value really to be gleaned at the 11-4 at the moment. Now, the top weight is the William Haggis trained Aman Zoe, who was really progressive last year, and she was very well placed by Haggis to win 4 handicaps at between a mile and 1.25 miles. She improved nearly 30 pounds in the process. That's over 2 stone, which takes some doing. Now, she obviously had some sort of a setback in the spring. She's not been seen on the track since she was second when she was favourite for this very race 12 months ago. So she's been off for a year. She was second off a £5 lower mark last year when she was fit and had been running. So I think it's asking quite a lot of her to win first time out after a year. But if there is any market confidence, that would very well be worth noting, considering she's from one of the best yards in the country. Now, Irish raider Lashinte is trained by Jessica Harrington, comes over from the Emerald Isle, has to be respected, has enjoyed a good time of things this season. But for me, there's a little bit of a question mark about her stamina at this trip. She's yet to win beyond an extended mile, although she was really brave when she won at Galway last time out. Amongst the others, Charlie Johnston, well, quite eye-catching. He's booked Ryan Moore to ride Serona, who was a winner of a German-listed event over a mile last season, and she was second on her latest run to Darkness in a decent mile handicap at Newmarket. But in 2 previous attempts at around this trip, it looks to me as if she struggled to get home. So I think it will take all Moore's skills and powers of persuasion to score on this Midland-based filly. You've got Andrew Balding's Sisyphus Strength, who's an in-and-out performer, but she was on a going day last time out when she won at Newmarket over this trip on good ground. So ground and trip are no problem. She's gone up £6, but we know she was really quite highly thought of earlier in the term, so this mark might not be beyond her. It's a question, I think, of whether she's in the mood or not. Well, there are plenty of others in with a shout in a pretty hot race, but I'm pretty hopeful that my choice here is going to give you a really good run for your money, and that's a filly called Prenup, trained by Jane Chapel-Hyam and the Mount of Harry Davis. Now, this is a filly that has thrived this season, having previously been trained by Hughie Morris, for whom she failed to win in 8 starts. But whether it's the change of air, the change of stables, she's really developed well since she joined Chapel-Hyam in the spring. She won at her first time of asking for her new yard, winning a Wolverhampton 7-furlong handicap in the spring. And then she ran well in her next 2 all-weather races, going close on both occasions without quite managing to get ahead in front. But then she was switched to the turf. That was at Newbury in June. She stayed on really strongly to win a 7-furlong handicap on good to firm ground, going away from her rivals, and she clearly seemed to relish the fast ground. She then went up to a mile, and she finished 4th in a decent event at Ascot on good to soft ground. And then she tackled heavy ground, which, consider she'd won on good to firm a few starts before, you might have thought would have been a problem, but it wasn't at all, especially she was going up to 9 furlongs on one of the toughest finishes in the country at Sandown. Well, she really did show her versatility. She stayed on very well, coming away from them again, up the Esher Hill to win by over 2 lengths. And that was the first time Harry Davis had teamed up with her, and he's a very good young jockey. In fact, I think he's a potential future champion jockey, Harry Davis. In give him 4 or 5 years' time, he might not be far away. Now, he keeps the ride, does Harry Davis, and I think that having toughed it out over 9 furlongs in heavy ground at Sandown, that the 1.25 miles here on the quicker surface, which she also handles, should be perfect for Prenup. I think she'll see out the extra furlong. She seems in really great nick at the moment, and when Phil is even hit form, then they can often keep on winning. She's gone up £5 for that Sandown win, which in my view is quite fair, I think, of the handicapper. Now, she was originally 14-1 when I made my note. She's gone out to 16-1 now with quite a few firms. 16-1 Prenup, and that's each way with Sky Bet offering 5 places. So 5 places each way, 16-1 Prenup is my Friday selection here at SportsBet at York in the 410. And then on to Saturday. Well, what a day it's going to be on Saturday. It's Ebor Day, and I'm focusing on Europe's richest handicap, the £500,000 1.75 Ebor handicap at 3.35 on Saturday. So whatever you're doing, make sure you don't miss this. They're anticipating the ground will still be good to firm, good in places, and there are 22 runners, a maximum field. Now, a lot of horses will doubtless have been plotted up for this throughout the season. It is an iconic race with huge prize money, and it's a cliche, but you really can give them all a chance. And I've looked up and down the list, and as I'm sure many of you know that have followed me for the last 3 years, I tend to start to look at the bottom of the list and work my way up from the outsiders to the favourites. And it's very hard to really rule anything out. But the ones at the head of the market, well, they include Sweet William for John and Thady Gosden, who's on a 4-timer. Now, this horse has got in with just a £4 penalty for a very easy win last time out over this trip in the mud at Goodwood, but he previously won on quick ground as well. I think he's a potential cup horse for next season. He does look a blot on the handicap, but that is reflected in his price, and he's currently around the 4-1 mark. We've seen a lot of good horses go off favourite for the Ebor over the years and find 1 or 2 too good. It might be the case with Sweet William, but he is certainly one that would have to be on your shortlist if you were to have one running for your life, I think. Now then, second, in the 1.75 copper horse handicap at Royal Ascot in June was the Willie Mullins-trained Absurd. Now, Willie's won this before, of course. Absurd ran a tremendous race there behind his runaway stable companion, the high-class Vauban. He was, however, very disappointing when odds-on and well beaten over hurdles last time out in Ireland, but it wouldn't be a surprise to see him bounce back for the master trainer Willie Mullins. and he's already found plenty of market support for this race. So it could be that the word in Ireland is that he is going to run another big race back on British soil. Now, at the time of this recording on Thursday early afternoon, the great Sir Michael Stoute hasn't had a winner for a month. It's hard to believe. So it is hard to be too enthusiastic about his Progressive Real Dream, a horse I really like. He won over this trip at Ascot last month and has gone up £8, but the stable form is a big question mark. Alternatively, Saeed bin Sarour's top weight, Live Your Dream, is from a yard that's been operating at a good strike rate this season and was really impressive, winning at Newmarket last time. And although he has a very, very stiff task in such a hot race under top weight of 9 stone 12, I could see Live Your Dream finishing in the frame. And I believe if he does run well, they're probably going to have a crack and send him down for the Melbourne Cup on the first Tuesday in November at Flemington. So he is a class act, Live Your Dream. Now, I'm not going to rattle on for too long because there are so many horses that you can make a case for. As I tend to do in the major handicaps, I'm going to be backing 2 in the race. One of them I'm going to present it out in front. And if you want to find out about that and my other selections Friday and Saturday, you can check that out through my Patreon link on the screen below this screen here. But the one, I fancy 2 horses equally. The one I'm putting forward to you here is a fascinating horse trained by Roger Teal. And this is a horse called Ocean Wind. Now, Ocean Wind is the horse that I fancy here. He's going to be the mount of Frederick Larson, who's claiming £3. Now, Freddie Larson, originally on the books of Crystal Palace, he was a footballer for Crystal Palace before he got fed up of not being selected and decided to start riding horses, aged about 20. He's quite a remarkable sportsman. He's become a very talented jockey, and he still claims £3. Anyway, back to Ocean Wind, a horse who has come back this season after over 2 years off where he had a major problem, but he looks as though Teal has done a really good job with him and he appears to retain most of his old ability, if not all his old ability. Now, this is a horse who started off in the National Hunt Sphere in bumpers. He won 2 bumpers in 2020. Then he went to the Cheltenham Festival and finished 6th in the Festival bumper, which is the hottest bumper in Britain and Ireland. So that was a very, very good run. And on the back of that, they decided to try their luck on the flat, and he rewarded them, winning 3 of his first 4 starts, which included the 2020 Newmarket Cesarewitch trial on fast ground over 2.25 miles. He then followed up over 1.75 miles on soft ground at Doncaster in October 2020. Now, the following season, in 2021, he went close in an all-weather conditions event on his first run of the term, and then he ran a very good second to a talented horse called Sir Ron Priestley in a listed stayers event at Nottingham. And then, and this is the form that stands out for me in the whole race, despite being hampered a furlong out, he came home really strongly and only failed by a length to peg back the mighty Stradivarius in the Group 3 Sagaro Stakes at Ascot in the spring of 2021 on good to firm ground. And then he ran it inexplicably badly the time after on soft ground, where clearly something went very wrong and he wasn't seen again for 2 years. That was until he ran at Sandown last month. He reappeared in a listed event and he got a little bit lit up early on, but then he very nearly stayed on to go second in the race won by the useful Ebor, and that was a very, very good effort. Another stride he would have got up for second. After 2 years off, he was coming home well. On the back of that, he then went to Goodwood in the Group 1 Goodwood Cup, but it seemed clear from the start in that crazy race won by Quickthorn, where he went off 20 lengths clear and they never saw him. It was clear to me that Ocean Wind was just never quite handling the track, and he wasn't happy on the ground. And basically, you can draw a line under that effort. Let's say it was probably, as it turned out, a race to get him ready for this, because he just could never get into it. Everything was wrong that day. But we saw on that run at Sandown the time before that he's still got what it takes. Now, he's running in a handicap for the first time in nearly 3 years. That, of course, includes that big absence. and he's been handed a mark of 105. And with Freddie Larson claiming £3, taking him down to 102, it certainly helps the cause. Now, of course, it's not going to be an easy task. This is a mighty race. But at 33 to 1 each way, with Corals and Ladbrokes, and with most firms expected, certainly on the day of the race, to be paying 6 places, at the moment, on Thursday, Sky Bet are offering 8 places, but they're only offering 22 to 1 Ocean Wind. I think Ocean Wind could easily outrun his odds, and I'll be backing him and one other to try and make a profit in the Ebor at 3:35 on Saturday. So whatever you back on Friday and Saturday, I wish you the best of luck. We've already had that 12 to 1 winner on the opening day. Let's hope we can add to those profits. Remember to check out in front, and I'll be back to you next week with more thoughts on British and Irish racing here at SportsBet. Bye-bye for now.